12, verse 1, and what it says is, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up. So what is he saying? Let us strip off every weight. When I'm talking about baggage, it's almost like a physical weight. You guys know what I'm talking about? I know I'm bad about dwelling on the past. I'll be honest with you. When I come up here and speak about something, typically it's because I'm either dealing with it or I've dealt with it. Because, and this is one thing that really applies to me, is the baggage. I have a hard time letting things go. And it's almost sometimes like a physical weight that can be honest. You know what, it's just messed up, and it's almost like you can almost feel it weighing us down. That's what I'm getting into today. So I'm going to do a little illustration before I really keep going and talk about how to deal with baggage. I'm going to need a volunteer. Who wants to volunteer? I know somebody is dying to volunteer.
Colton.
Oh, Colton.
Oh, I had to do this.
I was hoping I'd turn around and see me. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Come up here.
Wait,
Okay, I'm going to walk you through this. Colton's a pretty good guy. Okay. Colton's a pretty good guy. He's lived right. He's your normal dude. But he's had some mistakes. But before we get into those mistakes, this is what God has called Colton. The reason Colton was created was to move this guitar case from point A to point B, okay? That was Colton. He was created for this. This was his calling. So we're just going to imagine like this could be whatever. He's supposed to be a pastor, he's supposed to be an engineer, whatever. Colton is supposed to move that guitar case from there to here. Go ahead and move that guitar case, Colton. Okay, I'm good. Okay, that guitar case, it's not heavy, but it's not easy to carry. You can see he's kind of leaning to one side, but it's not impossible. He did it with pretty easy. Pretty easy. Now, the problem is, what's sad, Colton messed up a few times. Nothing bad. He just messed up a few times. Let's say, starting off, him and his girlfriend, he had a girlfriend, and, they messed up a few times. Let's swear up front. There we go. So, yeah, he just really couldn't get over that. Okay? He couldn't really move on for it. And then also, Colton growing up, he didn't have the best clothes, he didn't have the best hair, and he was always jealous. Okay, he let that jealousy just gnaw at him, and it still kind of affects him today. Okay, lastly, let's see here.
I got drunk.
Yeah, okay, that's perfect.
Partying.
Yeah, okay, Colton kind of got mixed up in partying later, and for some reason, even though he doesn't party anymore, he still thinks about it, it still bothers him. It's kind of like that. Now, Colton, without dropping your bags, I need you to move that guitar case over there. You see, it makes it a little more difficult. If he tried hard enough, maybe he could swing the bags and knock it over there, but it would take a long time. Okay, you can also, Colton. You're good. You can take my baggage off now. And now it's set free. Let's take off the baggage. Okay, but you guys get what I'm saying. You see, before Colton had the baggage on his life, it was basically simple to do what God called him to do. You see, and because he led, it wasn't the sins in his life that kept him from accomplishing his goal. It was the fact that he couldn't get over those sins. It was the fact that he didn't accept forgiveness and really move on from that point. So that's what I'm trying to get at today is, whether or not what you've done in your past doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big or how bad or whatever you did. That doesn't matter. What matters is how you deal with it. What matters is what you do after the fact. What matters is what you're going to do now. You see, a lot of times we get caught up in the past, and it's really important that we focus, stop and think, where am I at right now? Where am I at in the present? So I really encourage you guys to just examine your life. A lot of the times when we have problems in our lives, we don't even realize they're problems. We don't even realize that there's something wrong. So a lot of times what I like to do is, take a minute throughout your day and just think about your life. Think about where you're at. Think about what you need to change. Think about what's going on. And really, a lot of times, it'll just open your eyes. Open your eyes to something. You may realize that something was going on you didn't even realize. So that's on the side advice. Examine your life. Okay, but baggage. Back to the baggage. Okay, how are we going to deal with the baggage? How are you going to deal with that? The first thing I would say is prayer. It's getting into prayer. Prayer is, as a Christian, prayer is one of your most valuable tools. It's one of your most valuable tools, okay? And I kind of picture this, as a Christian, we gotta have like a tool bag. Alright, in that tool bag, we have certain tools, kind of like a carpenter, right? Let's say I'm a carpenter and I'm trying to build a house. Now, in my tool bag, I might have a hammer, I might have a level, I might have a measuring tape, I have all these things. Now, think about if I tried to build a house without that hammer. It'd be real difficult. Yeah, I could probably take a board, I could probably smash the nail in somehow, but it would be extremely difficult. And it's the same way as your life as a Christian. God gave us the ability to pray to Him. He gave us the ability to, consult with Him, talk to Him and become close to Him. And if we're not using that, if we're not praying on a consistent basis, it's going to make our lives that much harder. A lot of the times when I thought about, when people say be in constant prayer, just be in constant prayer, be in constant prayer, I kind of took that, growing up, I kind of thought about that, I guess you could say in the wrong way. Not the wrong way, but just I didn't really understand it. What I thought is when somebody says be in constant prayer, I'm picturing, an hour at a time, going to your room, shutting your lights off, you're praying for 2 hours, you're praying for 3 hours, and that's great. I mean, if you can do that, more power to you. That's awesome. But for me, when it was getting into prayer, and when it was, especially when I was getting started off, it was 5 minutes. It wasn't even 5 minutes, it was 30 seconds, it was 20 seconds. It's finding some point where you can give to God and just talk to Him. It's really not about, I think a lot of times we get caught up on things like time. I don't really think God's up there with a stopwatch saying, oh man, that was 30 minutes. You can go for a little while longer. And then you got to think about it. God's not really looking for, how much you're doing. He's looking for heart. He's looking for an attempt. He's looking for you to at least try to get to a better place. So prayer. I'm going to read a verse. It's Romans 12:12. What says? Rejoice in our confident hope, be patient in trouble, and keep on praying. And really, for me, my favorite translation of this verse, a lot of translations says be in constant prayer. And that's what I'm talking about. When I look back on my life, one of the times I was a sophomore in high school, and I can honestly say that was one point in my life where I was probably as close to God or as in tune with God as I've ever been. That's sad to say. But that's one point in my life where I can really look back and say I was doing things really right. I was really praying a lot. And when I think about it, the reason my life was so good then, the reason my life was so easy, the reason things just seemed to fall into place was because I was praying more than I ever have before. I think about it. The way I really accomplished that is, I made it a point to have little moments. Have small chunks of time throughout the day. And I didn't just, say I was going to do it. I feel like I planned it out in my head and said, okay, I don't have 30 seconds here. I don't have a minute here. I remember I used to have a team leadership class, and it was in a building. I don't think it's there anymore. It was like this trailer behind the high school. For some reason, the class was in this trailer thing. It was out by the ag shop. And I knew every day that when I got out of biology, I was going to walk out of the main campus, walk across towards that building, and I was going to be alone for about 45 seconds. So I made it a point every day to pray for that 45 seconds when I'm alone. You got to think about it. What else have I been doing? Kicking rocks? there's really, it was just, that small bit of time, really, I believe, brought me so much closer to God because it was just a steadfast thing in my life that I knew I was going to do every day. And it's the same thing you can apply if you have your license. For a while there, I was thinking, every time I'm in my car alone, I'm going to start off with a prayer. Before I turn on the radio, before I listen to pop in a CD, I'm going to pray for just doesn't matter. 20 seconds, 10 seconds. I'm going to say something. I'm going to talk to God for at least a little bit. And it's just getting something in your mind and committing to it and making sure it happens. That's how you can really accomplish getting into some constant prayer. And when you pray, just to touch on this for a minute, I kind of, over the years, I've kind of almost changed how I pray. And relating prayer to getting over baggage, I deal with worrying a lot. Or I used to deal with worrying a lot. I would worry about things. And when I would pray about it, I would pray, God, please help me stop worrying. And as time went on, I've kind of changed that prayer to, God, thank you that I no longer worry. That's one thing that's really important in prayer, I think, is to kind of declare it over your life and say, I thank you that it's already done. I thank you that tomorrow I'm not going to worry, God. I'm not going to say, will you please do it? I'm going to say, I thank you that you're powerful enough that you've already done it. And it's really important. I encourage you to try to pray like that sometimes for things in your life. Just declare it over your life instead of asking. Just declare that it's done. And I really believe that has a powerful effect. Number two things you can get over baggage is to get a scripture and speak it over your life. I encourage you to find a scripture. Whatever you're dealing with, if you deal with anger, and for some reason you just can't get over that anger that's holding you back, I encourage you to find a scripture about anger, memorize it, and speak it over your life.